everybody.
Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the channel. My name is Coupon Therapy. I will be your host and your MC for this show. Um, Go ahead and just sit back and relax. We're going to have a conversation. The conversation is going to be deep. However, we're going to have this conversation on a more casual level. So, feel free to get comfortable, kick your shoes up, hit that notification, hit the subscribe button. I'm sorry. First, you have to subscribe. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you will be notified each and every time that the channel goes live. Okay. Um, Thumbs up the video, please. And thank you. It helps us get into the algorithm. All right. I hope you guys are doing good today. I wanted to come through and talk about something that's kind of passionate for me. Mental health, especially in the Black community, is one of the things that I hold near and dear to my heart. Not only because of my own personal struggles, but because of my experience with other people as well, right? Both professionally and personally. So yeah, let me go ahead. Let me get. I'm sorry, I didn't have you guys' comments up. So let's see. Hey, Indigo, Kareem is in the building. Shout out to Kareem, one of my moderators. Okay, Indigo is in the building. Hey, Mogi, Miss Steph 219, Barn Dog is in the building. Thank you guys. Thank you, Steph, for joining the membership. Absolutely. Mogi says, after the pain. Here, let me go ahead and highlight this comment. Just exactly. We're going to talk about it, okay? Hey, Steph. All right. Yes. Okay. I think we've spoken to everybody. And hi to everybody that's going to come through on the replay. Again, for you guys to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have not, we're going to be pushing out good, hot, consistent content. That is a personal goal I made for myself. Yeah, anybody that know me really knows, as far as the YouTube, I've been, it's kind of inconsistent, but that's for a couple reasons. But that's changing. So I'm dedicating myself. I have a personal goal on doing certain things and meeting certain goals in pertaining to my channel and content, right? And you know, speaking about things that I'm passionate about. Okay. So we're going to be doing that. We're going to try to come through more consistently, and we're going to try to deliver this content. All right. So today, the title of my video is a mental health check, right? Beyond the stigma. So I've heard a lot of people recently talking about the fact that um it's something, right? Something ain't right. Something just ain't right. People in my real life and like even content creators on social media, like there's been an overwhelming sense of uneasiness, of imbalance, right? And if you are spiritually connected, then you may look at those things a little bit different than people that are carnal. So just full disclosure, the perspective that I take on this channel is and it's according to my beliefs. I don't knock anybody else's beliefs. The perspective that I take on this channel is that We are all spiritual beings. Um, at least I am a spiritual being having a natural experience, right? So everything in my life, every experience, whether it be good or bad, whether it be seemingly spiritual or not, I equate or I have some type of spiritual connection to, right? Because that's just how I process things because according to my own belief system. So everything that I say and my perspectives will be coming from that angle. So I just want to let everybody know that. So we don't have any misunderstandings. I don't want nobody in the comments talking about, well, everybody don't believe. I'm speaking according to what I believe. Hey, Firefly, thank you for coming to the live, honey. So, um, in the black community, right? We all know, especially if you're black, that there's a stigma around mental health and mental health treatment, therapy, and those type of things. Thank God it's 2024 and we are changing. We are things are evolving, so it's becoming more. We're trying to normalize, treating that trauma, right? We're trying to normalize um, healthy mental health, right? But we still have a ways to go. So, shout out to all the advocates and therapists, and shout out to everybody who's been struggling, um, and battling this depression, this silent disease, right? And still persevering, right? Getting up every day, putting one foot in front of the other one and keeping it moving, right? There's something to be said for that. So I just want to take a minute to applaud all of you guys that may hear this, that struggle every day, that put that smile on your face, that go to your 9 to 5, make the ends meet, smile for the children, smile for the husband, or if you're not married or have children, or smile for your friends, but on the inside, um, you're numb, right? It's a totally different thing. And so, um, this is such a wide topic, right? And we will definitely get more into this because I will be delivering my content, and ultimately my goal is to uplift and to maybe give some insight based on my experience on some of these things, because I know people are suffering, and it doesn't have anything to do with your income or your income bracket, your color, your race, your creed, none of that, right? It's no respect of persons. So and it's kind of twofold. So for this particular live, I want to focus on the different facets of mental health, preferably like depression and anxiety, right? So we have we have and you can include some of those other ones in there, right? But for the case of this, I don't want to deal in. I'm not talking about in this live mental psychosis, right? I'm talking about mental health. Doesn't mean you crazy. Doesn't mean you're insane, right? Uh, um, a lot of time, depression, anxiety is our body's responses to trauma. Yeah, sometimes it's a response to a chemical imbalance, right? So, because I'm spiritual, the way I look at things, I feel like the physical aspect, right, of depression and anxiety and things as such that play on our mind, that play on our psyche, is a chemical imbalance, right? Doctors, researchers have told us this. Uh, thank God, praise God, He's allowed us to be able to have that knowledge. To be able to find these things out, right, in our lifetime. So we know that there's a chemical imbalance that sometimes may um cause be a big factor in certain feelings and depression and anxiety, right? However, I'm I want to focus on the after, right? That what I feel like happens. So sometimes when there's a chemical imbalance, right? That chemical imbalance opens up a portal, right? So you have the chemical imbalance. It opens up a portal um to the spirit world, right? And it allows for um a spiritual warfare to go on. Hey, Miss Margot. And so you have the chemical imbalances, right? And then you have the depression, anxiety, and the thoughts. And then that opens up a portal in the spirit, right? That's the other side of depression and anxiety. It's not all just physical. Because once your body is physically attacked and certain things happening in your mind, it opens up a portal for the spiritual warfare. So then you have the side of depression and anxiety that starts to attack your spirit because it is spirit based, right? And those things come in the form of self deprecating thoughts, right? Suicidal thoughts, hallucinations, us just having, and you don't even have to be psychotic or nothing like that or in no psychosis, but just the thoughts that once you're in the state, once you are in the grips of depression, um, the thoughts that hold you captive, those are spirits, right? The chemical imbalance that may get you to that state may be a physical thing, but after that, the response can be spiritual because it opens up a portal, and then those spirits come in, and then you start to go into spiritual warfare. Okay, so that's why it's so hard to dig out of that hole, because they really start to attack you once you have that portal open in your mind, um and in your soul. Then the spiritual warfare starts, and then you have to start to war in the spirit. And because it says that we war are not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spirits in the air, right? It also lets us know that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty to the pulling down of strongholds. So what are strongholds, right? Strongholds are things such as depression, captive thoughts, anxiety, things that hold us captive that are not really going on. Like it could be a calm situation and you're sitting there nervous around everybody. Those are the chemical responses that our body are given to certain things. And it could be trauma, it could be the chemical imbalance. But once those things happen, right, then we go into spiritual warfare. And that's the part that a lot of us sometimes neglect. We don't always acknowledge that part, or sometimes we may not know. But on top of treating yourself physically, right, you going to the doctor, seeing mental health specialists, you also need to feed your spirit, because um there's a war there as well, right? So with that in mind, I don't want to harp. I was not trying to sound preachy or anything like that. I'm just giving you what I know, right? In what I believe. So um that's why it's twofold. And if you notice on my thumbnail says, hold on, let me pull it up. It says, I think it's brave that you get up in the morning, even if your soul is weary and your bones ache for a rest. I think it's brave that you keep on living, even if you don't know how to anymore. I think it's brave that you push away the waves rolling in every day and you decide to fight again. I know there are days when you feel like giving up, but I think it's brave that you never do. And that is the essence, right, of this life. That is the essence of this life, because we are always going, we're spiritual beings, we're always going to be in a spiritual battle. We have and there's always going to be opposition, right? We can never get away from that. Like, you're not going to have a life free of opposition, free of anything. um but the point is, do it anyway. There was just one saying, I know you're scared, but do it scared. It's something like that. Y'all know what I'm saying. And putting one foot in front of the other one every day, I think that's so brave. That rocks, right? I think it's awesome that, even in spite of the feelings of self doubt, the feelings of not even wanting to get up out the bed, I think the feelings of being alone, because depression is a lonely disease, right? It's an isolating disease because it's not logical. The thoughts that you have and the feelings that it gives you, and that's the spiritual warfare. That's the attack there. Um, there is no way that we can battle this without battling it on a spiritual level. That's how we overcome, right? And I just wanted to say that I think it rocks. Shout out to all of you guys who who go through things, who are going through things, and keep on keeping on, right? There's something to be said for that. Every day people get so disheartened and they're not here anymore. My best friend actually uh committed, you know, I was devastated. It was the darkest thing I had ever experienced in my life. So I absolutely think it's brave. It's not no small feat that you have kept on going. It's not no small feat that you are here listening to this video, okay? It's not by coincidence. So, um the spiritual aspect of that is that when we feed well, along with our physical mental health, right? Doing things, you can do meditation, you can do therapy. There's all type of things you can do to support your mental health. Outside of that, the other side that we need to incorporate so that we can overcome, so that we can triumph, is the spiritual aspect. And if you are a believer, if you are spiritual, then you cannot neglect that, because the chemical imbalance from the physical part, oh, it opens up a portal for things, thoughts, you know, and certain things to come in. Hey, Sarkonos Boo. Hey. Shout out to all the members. I'm gonna be having some members only lives too. That's where I'm gonna be, like, really talking about me and my personal, like, all the juicy stuff will be on the members only live. I'm probably gonna have one today, later on today. I don't even know how many members I got now. But anyway, I'm gonna have one and I'm gonna talk a little more in depth. That's where you will be able, that I won't do that on the main platform as far as my personal stuff. But there we'll be able to connect. We can talk. If anybody is going through anything, that you can have the platform, you can be anonymous. However, I am here to not only help and heal myself, but to help and heal others. And if anything that I say, basically just to express myself, right? As a part of my own ongoing therapy and healing. But if any of that happens to rub off on any of you guys, then that is a blessing. And I'm more than happy to help, to talk, or whatever on the platform. So The what we need, what I would like to encourage us to do as a part of the mental health check. So we're going mental health check Thursdays, right? Well, first let me say this. Mowgli says after the pain. So what do you do after the pain? What do you do with those feelings? What do you do with when self-doubt is creeping in? What do you do when outwardly and what you're looking at with your eyes seems like everything is all good, but on the inside you can't hardly even concentrate on a conversation because your anxiety is so high, right? Because that's the nature of the beast. It doesn't have to be. It's only it's the perceived threat, right? It's a lot of projecting with anxiety, even with depression. It's a lot of projecting things that are not there or things that have not happened as of yet. A lot of times, right? What do you do when your mind is playing tricks on you? Anybody had that happen? Like, is anybody willing to be real and say and be honest and just be like, listen, I struggle sometimes, right? Sometimes, even though things appear to be going in my mind, sometimes my mind be really playing tricks on me. So that's what I want to kind of focus on, and that's what I'm going to be talking about um now and coming up more so of that, because not only do I want to be free, I want to help I want to help somebody else get free. If it ain't number one person that comes across this video, if it's 5 years from now, or any of my videos, not necessarily this one, but I'm just saying, and I want to be, I like to be a blessing, and I want to encourage folks, right? Hashtag positivity for 2024, right? They say you get more um bees with honey than vinegar. That's facts. But what do you do um when you're in that situation, right? We need a so I know a lady that I met on YouTube, beautiful lady, um, and I thought it was the cutest thing that, and she's in recovery, but she would be on her channel and she would show this toolbox that she had, a physical one, right? So um I think that having it physically and mentally, a lot of times us as humans, we need to have something tangible. So I thought that was the coolest thing, right? Because we have a mental toolbox in our minds already, because as we grow, as we go through things, we learn lessons and stuff like that. But having a physical toolbox, she used to keep like affirmations and things like that in that, stuff that would trigger certain responses from her. This was her tool, her crisis toolbox, right? So we have to build up our toolbox in those moments, because you can get so down and so dark, and your mind, right? That's your mind. So that's your reality. Your perception is your reality, whether it's the truth or not. Reality is not always the truth. Now let that sink in, right? Reality is not always the truth, because everybody's reality is different, right? And your reality is based on your perception, and mine is based on my perception. So there's a truth. So reality is subjective, in a way. So I seen this meme and it says, I'm loyal. I'll never leave you for someone else. I'll only leave you for myself, for my peace, for my sanity, my respect, my dignity, and my survival. So I said that to say one of the first things that we need to put in our toolbox is loyalty to ourselves, right? Before we can profess to be loyal to anybody else, we need to be loyal to ourselves, dedicated and loyal to our own sanity, our own peace of mind, our own survival, our own dignity. Then we need to well, of course, I don't, it doesn't go without saying, but let me say this: affirmations, right? It's important. A lot of times, people say how important it is to journal. You can journal, or you can just jot. I don't journal at this point in my life, but I do have like post-it notes and little stickies that I use to write little affirmations and little thoughts, right? Little reminders to myself. Because manifestation is real. What you starve will die, and what you feed will grow. The thoughts that you starve will eventually die. The thoughts that you entertain, and the things that you entertain, are going to grow. So we got to watch what we give our attention to, right? So when we steer off, it's important to have those little tools. So we need those tools to be able to be prepared for the spiritual warfare that comes along when we're in those dark places. Okay, so Kareem says, yes, when I have times where my mind is in a dark place, I remind myself to have control over my mind and not let it control me. Exactly. That's exactly what you have to do. It's a mind game. It's a spiritual warfare on your mind. The battle is in the mind. Okay, hold on. I wanted to pull up. So, um, I just really wanted to come out and speak on that, and just to I haven't been out here in a while, and touch base with you guys, and let um and just let you guys know to stay encouraged, right? This is a trying time. I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very spiritually in tune, and so just the vibe, right? There's so much going on in the air, and depression and anxiety is at an all-time high. People are, things are happening, and people are questioning their self-worth. And what I'm saying is, we have got to constantly remind ourselves that all things work together for the good of those that love the Lord. Okay. And we have to stand. Sometimes things just come as a trial to test our faith. And the most important thing that we can do, that I found that's helped me, is that try to be your authentic self, right? People pleasing. Now, I ain't got no science behind this, or I ain't got no MD or anything, but I'm gonna say this allegedly, according to coupon therapy. Um, People pleasing is the number one killer amongst, I can't even say people. I'm just gonna say people. Anybody that's a people pleaser, and doesn't change that up, is going to have an early grave, right? People, you're going to catch a heart attack and a stroke back to back, trying to please people, trying to get acceptance from people. That's the first thing we want to do. So that's where I'm going to talk about. I'm going to revisit, right? I have some videos on my channel where I was talking about how to say the power of saying no. And I think it may be one about people pleasing, but I want to go back there because I think sometimes we need to be reminded, since we're all, it's kind of like we're at ground zero, right? 2024, ground zero all over again. Time to get your mind right, your spirit right. It's time to make changes. It's time to say yes to God and no to your own desires, because your own desires have kept you stuck where you've been, right? And you don't want, God's gonna have his will done by hook or crook. You don't want him to have to strip everything from you in order to get you to fulfill your destiny. You might as well do it voluntarily. Because God will definitely do for you what we can. God does for us what we can't do for ourselves, right? And ultimately, we are God's creation. Whether you say you believe in God or not, we all were created by the same thing. There's people that walk around, I'm an atheist. And then just because you believe something doesn't mean it to be true. We were all created by the same thing. We wasn't created by different people. You know, Buddhists, they wasn't created by Buddha. Christians wasn't just created by God and Jesus. Muslim wasn't created by just Allah. Confucius, those that follow him, Krishna, and these are different religious figures throughout history. It's one God. So at the end of the day, you know, I don't get into the small details with all of that because I know that to be facts. It doesn't matter what you call the creator. He is the creator, and I'm saying he is just, because in our language we assign gender to most beings, right? So for lack of anything else, and because it's been prevalent, I'll just say he. But God is a spirit. God is not a he or a she. It says God is a spirit. Those that worship me must worship me in spirit and in truth. Okay. So we have to, we have to reprogram ourselves and be able to combat the times when our mind is playing tricks on us. We have to be able to combat, because ultimately, if you sometime when we're praying for something, you got to be careful what you pray for because you don't know what it's going to look like. And when God wants you to go somewhere, He'll make you go. Period. Right? We've seen that in our real lives. We've seen it in the Bible tells and everything else. So I I think that the one thing that I want to leave you guys with and focus on for today, because this, like I said, it's so much information and so many angles that you can take with this, right? It's very layered. It's not just like, oh, hey, you're depressed, just do this, just pray and it's all going to be better, because that's nonsense as well, right? Prayer without works is dead. And it ain't all just about that. This is not about no holy roller thing. This is about spiritual healing. I want to get to the root, figure out if we can get to the root cause of the anxiety and the generalized anxiety and depression that a lot of us walk around feeling a lot of the times for reasons we don't even understand sometimes, a lot of times, right? A part of that is the chemical imbalance, but then a part of that is a spiritual warfare, as I said earlier. So I want to kind of break that down, and that's what I'll be doing in subsequent videos. Uh, we're gonna dive into that because we want to. I want to feel good. I want, excuse me, to overcome these things, and I want anybody else that's going through that to also overcome these things. I am well. I'm gonna drop the link in case anyone would like to come up here and add to the conversation that I'm speaking about. If not, that's fine. But I don't want to close out because I really am interested in not only myself but in other people. So even if it's just one person, it doesn't even matter. It ain't got to be hundreds and thousands. Just one person, anybody that I can help. Any questions, um, anything that we'll walk through it together. So I am going to give the opportunity for that. I'll drop the link for about 2 minutes, and then I'll move on. Hey, Mickey. I don't know if I already spoke to you, or I just be talking. I just be talking. Y'all know when I get on my soapbox. Okay. Okay. And listen. And also, what I want to focus on is the trauma. So a lot of times, anxiety, depression as well, but anxiety is rooted in trauma and PTSD, right? I feel like life in itself is traumatizing. Okay. And some of us just deal with it better, right? Some people lose their mind, they check out because it's become too much. And some of us truck on through, but none of us get out unscathed. Nobody. Nobody gets out unscathed. So, um, especially when that trauma creates creates a soul injury, right? So you have to try to and what I mean by soul injuries, where we start to have feelings of not being good enough, we're less than, empty, loneliness, worthlessness, we're defective. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to pull this screen up. Is it gonna let me pull it up? I wanted to show you guys something. No, that's not the right screen. Hold on. So basically, you don't have to live with anxiety or depression. There are real solutions that can be effective. With anxiety, circumstances could be great, but there is a war on the inside of your soul, right? Anxiety is not a malfunction of your mind, it's your body's signal that something is not right. Most causes of depression and anxiety are psychosocial. In other words, there are things a person, these are things that a person can be healed from and that you can change. Okay. Uh-oh. Let me get back to the Oh, hey, Miss Corrine, how you doing, honey? Bless you. Thank you. So some of the okay, so it's doctors and scientists and therapists have they do studies and they ask and a lot of times like what are the causes of depression and anxiety, um because it's such a silent struggle, right? And the generalized depression is like a dark, and if you don't and if you have not experienced and you not have not experienced depression and you don't, consider yourself lucky, okay? Consider yourself lucky and blessed. Absolutely. But maybe something that you hear here, you may have someone that you love, you may have someone that's close to you, or you may encounter someone that you can pass this information on to, and it may make all the difference in the world. That is my hope. So, because depression is such a silent struggle, that's why it's so important that we become conscious, right? That we become purposeful in our fight to survive this thing, right? Because it will trap you. It'll trap you and it'll isolate you. And your reality will become those thoughts from the depression, which are defective thoughts, right? It's almost like a dark umbrella looms over your head, and the weight upon the world is on your shoulders. And and becomes insufferable. Those are the feelings that you have sometimes when you're in depression. And not only that, this is not something that just adults deal with. This is a nationwide, humanity-wide problem. Even our children, they found depression in children as young as 3 years old. They say that the anxiety and depression has tripled in children ages 3 to 17 from the year 2016. Attempting to understand why uh, depression and anxiety is so high, not only amongst our children but also amongst adults, and it's really prevalent. Untreated anxiety and depression is prevalent and sometimes passed down generational. And when we know better, we do better. And knowledge is power. So we have the power to break those generational curses so that they don't have to be passed down to our children and our grandchildren. That spirit of depression, that spirit of anxiety. And I want to keep emphasizing that it's the spiritual aspect of it, because I do understand, as I acknowledged at first, that there is a physical. Your body responds to trauma, to whatever, in a physical way. So there becomes a chemical imbalance in your body. But that chemical imbalance opens a portal, right, to the spirit world, and then that's where your mind starts playing tricks on you, and it becomes a spiritual battle. It's an invisible battle that has to be fought in the spirit as well as in the physical. And so, as far as the physical, um when they do studies, what they found is that people suffering from anxiety and depression had decreased activity in parts of the brain that are involved in stopping cognitive processes and switching to new ones. In other words, people suffering from depression, anxiety, or PTSD were less able to turn off thoughts and feelings and to switch to different thoughts and feelings, right? The results of the brain scan showed that they also had trouble switching from one task to the next. So basically, that's that dwelling, right? That your mind does. That's that can't sleep at night because your mind is playing the things over and over and over and over. The inability to turn off these feelings coupled with an enduring, consistent unnerving, creates that anxiety and depression. And without hope and a network of support, sometimes people, uh, make bad choices. We have addiction, we have substance abuse disorder, alcohol use disorder, we have suicide, we have homelessness, we have just so many things, and we see amongst our kids. I don't want to say the other one, the suicide. Mm, this is YouTube. So it is important um that we properly analyze depression and anxiety, right? Because there is a certain stigma to these terms, especially for Black people. Um, According to the American Psychiatric Society in 2023, depression causes feelings of sadness and or loss of interest in activities you once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems and can decrease your ability to function at school and at home. And it's also important to note that symptoms of depression and anxiety amongst African Americans can differ from age groups. Sadness or irritability doesn't, some of the symptoms are sadness and irritability, unexplained minor aches and pains, persistent changes in eating habits or weight, sleeping patterns, affecting of your work, affecting your work, not affecting of your work, affecting your work performance. And the thing is, unfortunately, to determine why is not relatable because there's no single factor. There is like a convergence of various things that contribute to these mental challenges happening, right? There's biological predispositions, genetic factors, and environmental stressors that cause that physical response. And then, there's societal pressures. And once the physical response is triggered, that's when the portal opens and then the spiritual response comes in. Right. So we got genetics, trauma, environment. Sometimes it can be all three at once. Um, no matter what it is, whether it's genetics, trauma, or environment, most, if not all of those, make you feel inescapable mind loop, right? Sometimes poverty, um, sometimes because these traumas a lot of times are from our childhood. A lot of the things we go through, even though we're only what from birth to 18, according to society, children, right? Them 18 years are the most impactful years of our life. They impact everything for the next. You may live till you're 80 years old, but the things that you experience in those 18 years, um, you know, impact us greatly. So we can't sometimes, and that's the last thing that we want to do really is sometimes revisit a lot of that trauma or even admit some of the things. But in order to move forward, we have to be honest and truthful with ourselves and sometimes get to the root causes, right? Poverty also definitely negatively impacts um, one's mental health and trauma. It's not the only thing, but that's just one of the things I wanted to know. Um, so another thing, more notably newer, right, is that the imminent, the prevalent use of social media. Sorry about that, y'all. The the prevalent and persistent use of social media, and like preconceived beauty standards, and things such like clout and popularity. Those factors are definitely not helping our mental health as a society. They are damaging our mental health as a society tenfold, right? Um, because it's not only with that's like peer pressure on steroids, okay? And not only that, you have adults. It goes beyond that, because generally in normal life, you don't get heckled once you get out of school. Even if you had a lot of peer pressure, or your peers used to bother you, once you graduated out of school, got into a workplace or whatever, and all that, those things dissipated as we became adults. It says, once I became an adult, I put away childish things, right? um but not on social media, because social media is a place that where even adults engage in such egregious behavior that you would think you know it would be high school people. So we have to be careful of that too. People who are sensitive and suffer from depression and anxiety, we need to monitor our social media intake. We need to be very calculated and purposeful on the spaces that we go into and the things that we engage in, right? So yeah, I just wanted to come out and encourage you guys, and to speak about that. I'm going to further go on. I have a lot of information on this. If y'all want to listen, I am going to be doing. I'm going to be in my life coach bag, y'all. Okay, I'm all in it, all in my self help bag, healing myself, healing my community, and anybody else that wants to come along for the ride. So I do have a lot of content that I'm going to be, and I'm not ignoring y'all in the comments or anything. I'm just trying to get this content out, because I'll get sidetracked. But anybody, if you guys would like to discuss any particular topic or anything that you would like to see on the platform, send me a message. Either under one of the videos. If you have my email address, you can email me. Um, if there's something that you want to talk about, then we'll talk about it. But I do have a lot of content um along this line that I am going to put out. I don't want to make these videos too long, because I want to get back in the algorithm, and people who don't know you on these type of topics, they tend to like to keep it short and sweet. And so I'm going to try to follow suit. I thank you guys so much for supporting me. I love each and every one of y'all. Y'all know who y'all are. Um, I'm going to come back maybe later on today. Uh, I don't know if there's going to be a regular live or a live like this. I'm not sure just yet. But listen, y'all, stay strong. Let's break the stigma of mental health in the Black community. Let's not only feed our bodies, but let's also try to heal our minds and our soul. Um, Social media has a lot of people disillusioned and just delusional, right? But we can't lose focus, and we have to yet keep keep you know yet keep going in spite of. So I want to encourage everybody that I love you guys. If nobody has told y'all that they love you today, Coupon Therapy loves y'all. If y'all need somebody to talk to, if you have any issues going on, hit me up. We'll talk about it. You are not alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. um you don't have to be alone, right? You don't have to feel like you have to be embarrassed about anything that you're going through, because we're all human. And my heart's desire is that no one would suffer in silence, especially if you're hearing my voice. If you can hear me saying this and you're suffering, my heart goes out to you, and I pray that you will feel comfortable enough to either, you can reach out to me, someone else that you see in the comments that you come up with, or someone in your personal life. But by all means, keep going. Don't give up, right? It says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Peace. I love y'all.